quickly move on to our Synapse workspace. Okay, so here, so in our earlier session, so I have explained the pools, right? So this is a serverless pool we have designed in our earlier process. Okay, so these are all the process we have designed, and it comes with the inbuilt process. So now let me upload some sample files. So go to here, and to show you the examples, I'm going to add the files. Okay, I have already added one file. Okay, we'll use this, or otherwise I will I'll upload one more time. Okay, so what I'm doing is, so I have all the input feed files which I have. Okay, so these are all the input feed files which I'm going to use for my projects and the requirements. Okay, so example, I have a customer data set, right? So initially, so I'm going to upload. How we are going to upload? Click on upload and browse option. So once you click on the browse option, we have a customer data set. Click on this and upload it. Okay, so once you upload it, so it will get uploaded into the ADLS storage account. Okay, so now simply like let me right click. Okay, so after clicking right click, you can do these options. You see, new, select SQL script. Okay, so in this SQL script, so it will auto generate the scripts over here. Okay, so now this is the script which is generated, and open row set is there, and the format is there, and the versions are there. Okay, so basically this open row set concept usually use it to read the files which are available in any storage, like available in our data storage, right? Like ADLS Gen 2 or Blob. It is designed to read the files in the format of table. So the open row set is especially designed for to read any external files with the format of table. You can read the data in the format of table instead of reading as a file. Okay, so let's click on execute. So this will result you the table like a, so if you see here, so now this is showing like this way. So I'll open my input feed file. Let me open the customer input feed file. So we will just understand what will be the data. Okay, you see here, these are all the columns are available in my input feed file. Okay, so if you observe here, these columns are coming as C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, but actual headers are here. So how we are going to make this to come as a header as a main value? Okay, so this format is wrong, right? So our file having actual columns, so that should be treated, right? So inside this, so there are, if you see here, let me explain this also. Parser version. So we have a two versions, 1.0 and 2.0, two versions which supports the Synapse, and this is the latest version. They upgraded to read the CSV file extensively in this parser version, and currently, since it is a latest version, this is having all the data type validations, and there are some limitations. I'll just show that as well. Okay, and inside the parser version, so I wanted to make this as a header, so I'll just add this. Okay, go on to header. So header, so you are going to make this as a comma. So let me add the command. So we have a command called header row. Okay, so header row is equal to, so we have again two options here. Let me write it here. So you see here, true or false. Okay, so by default it's a false, and if you make it as a true, false means it won't show. It will take C1, C2, C3 by default, and you are making it as a true. So what will happen? Once you add this command, so this will show the header, you see. So this will just represent your actual header. It is taking as a values. So customer ID, customer unique ID. So all the columns are properly aligned in the query level. Okay. So and also we have a various commands. Okay, which I will show you. But as part of CSV reader, you no need to mention this all the terminator, field terminators and row delimiters, okay? Because it comes with the reading of the format option. By default, Synapse will read as a CSV. You no need to specify any terminations, okay? So what I'm talking about here is, so example, so this is a CSV file, right? So in this CSV file, now you are seeing like this, right? So let me open this file quickly in the Notepad++. Okay. You see here we have a commas and we have a double quotes. Okay, all this, right? Correct, right? So in sometimes you may have the pipes in your files. Okay. So pipe symbols also there in your files. So at the time what you will do, so currently by default CSV means comma separated value. So this will automatically divide the data and it will give. I have not mentioned any um, delimits. So if you have a pipe delimited example, how you are going to deal with this? So we have a file terminator, okay, so that you could use it. So always you have to make comma. Remember this point. For each line which you are going to add, you are going to add the file. If when you are type file, you see here these are all the option came, field code and terminator and all those things, right? So if I select field terminator is equal to, so there are a couple of options. So you could just mention comma. Okay. So since this is a comma separated, so anyway, if you did not mention also, it will take by default. No need to mention. So if you run this also similar version, it will give, because anyway, CSV is the thing which comes with the inbuilt comma separation value. Okay. That's why you no need to mention. Remember this point, you need to mention whenever you are dealing with the pipe delimiter or some other delimited files, you need to mention the file terminator definitely, okay, in this file. Okay, so that's how file terminator will work. So once you selected this, so these are all the data which is showing right in the table format. So example, I wanted to make a chart, and before I'm going to produce my data. Example, so before I'm going to represent in Power BI, I wanted to do some analysis with this data, how this data is aligned. So you have a similar way chart kind of thing. It will show this spike charts. So you can select your whatever the requirement. If you want area chart, you can select. And if you want bar chart, you can represent it. If you want column chart, you can represent it. Okay, so line by similar way you can represent all your data over here. So and after selecting this, you need to select the columns. Example, I want the state wise, I wanted to find out the customers. Okay, since there are so many things, right? State wise cities, I just represented it as, so you can align this, you can align like this way, top bottom top right. So like this way you could represent it, and you could switch to your column chart or line chart, you see. So in terms of state wise, so all this data get aligned up here in your data. Okay, so this will this is a way which represent for each data you can represent like this way. Okay, so based on country wise. Okay, so this is how we are going to represent our column legend. You can represent any kind of thing. Similar way how you are going to use the Power BI, right? So similar way you can represent in the chart level. So why this is a wonderful feature which Microsoft is offering. So you can see if you take any other ETL tools, you don't have this option to see how your data trends, everything. But they have given this wonderful feature to analyze your data before you make any reports or something. Okay, so this will give you the quick insights about your data. Okay, so let's go on to here again. Okay, so basically, so let's go on to the PPT again. So this I have represented. So one second, I'll just represent here. So these are all the representations which I have given. So how this data is populating and the data volume. So everything I have represented in the charts level. Okay, so this is the one of the field terminator which we are discussing. So whenever you want it, but this is very important option. You while dealing with any other files, you have to use this terminators. Okay, so and there is another feature that is describe first result underscore set. So there is one more feature. So what this will give is whatever the file data is there. This is again a very good feature which provided by Synapse is, so you can, it will by default give the data types. Okay, so based on your file data, so if you don't know how this file data types and how to represent, so you could just simply use this command. So sp underscore describe first result set, and you could simply uh, understand your data types. Okay, so now let's go on to here. So I'll just add this command. Let me copy over here. So you are going to write exec or execute, anything is fine, execute sp. So these are the inbuilt sps. Okay, so at the moment when I type it came all these options, right? If you go on here, so we have what is the option. So describe first row result set. So you need to type describe. If you at the moment when I type, you see these are the options which it is given. Okay, so whatever the option, so there are various options, but it depends on your requirement. You are going to give the options to you. Okay, so I'm going to select describe first row. Okay, so this I'm going to give the first row, uh, not sorry, first result set. Okay, not the row. Okay, so first result set. So and when you type, so result set, and after that, since we are passing this string, right? So you need to add n, and you have to give the quotations, single quotes, and copy and paste your entire query over here. Okay, so after pasting the query, just add this quote and run this execute query. So if you run this query, so you will get the data volumes. Okay, so I'm getting another issue. So what is happening here? So why we are getting this error? Because since we are representing all into the string format, right? So here is a single quotes are there. So you need to make it as another quote, since these are everything making it as a string, right? So you need to add extra quote over here to remove this error. Okay, so I have represented it, and again I'm going to add for comma as well, so that it will remove the below error. Okay, now you see, so it removed the error which we got earlier. Okay, if you see here, it is giving the options. Okay, so what is the data type? So customer ID is the data type is varchar 8000, and unique ID is varchar 8000, and prefix is begint and varchar 8000. So basically Synapse have some limitations. Okay, your column by default it will take as max as 8,000 characters it will allow each column. Okay, that column should length should be 8,000. But here remember one thing, so if you use for 8,000 for all columns as a data length, it will give you the bad performance to your query. Okay, why I'm adding this comment? Because if you did not define the data types varchar of something, if you give the max for each and every column, this will give you the very bad performance to your data. While if you might be while you are working in SQL also, there is a criteria that if you give the max length, but your column having only 100 length of characters, but if you are giving a 5,000 or 4,000 character length, so this will give you the very bad performance in your query, especially while dealing with the large volume of data. Okay, so going forward, we will see that data set as well. Okay, so what I mean to say here is, here your column length should be whatever the record is there, hardly this may be like some 1,000 characters example, or 500. Okay, so within, but you have given the 8,000 character length. Okay, 500 characters is very small, right? But 8,000 characters you are giving, so that's why it occupies 8,000 related bytes in your data. Okay, so even though your column having only 500 length of value, but it is occupying now 8,000 series of volume data. And while retrieving the data, it will cause the data performance issues. Okay, so always choose the data type and then your data. You need to be adjust your data types based on this. Okay, so example, in our first query, let me make the data length. I wanted to find out the length of each column. What is the data size now? Okay, so what I'll give is so I'm going to give max. So inside the max len, so I'm going to calculate the length. So length of customer ID. So each column length I'm going to find out now. Okay, so I'll just add customer ID, and similar way I'm going to copy paste this for other columns as well. So there are 5 columns, so I have represented with the 5 columns. I'll just copy paste these column values over here, and you can just, I'll just add zip prefix, and a similar way here and here as well, and the customer city and city as well. Similar way, customer state. So state. Okay. So now what I am doing here is I am identifying each column having the max length of the column value. What is the max length in this file? Okay. So based on that, I'm giving the, so basically I'm giving the max length which is available in, record available in this file. Okay. So let's run this query quickly so that we'll get to know. Oh, okay. I have given comma here. Let me run it. So once you run this query, so this will represent the length of your column. Okay. You see, customer ID have 32 length and unique UID have max length is 32, and your customer zip code is 532.2. Okay. But when you run this query, right, when you describe, it is by default giving as a 8,000 characters, but actually we have 32 length for each record, but you are giving more length, and this will cause the performance issues when you are running the with the large volume of data sets. Okay, So now what we need to do, how we are going to adjust these data types, I'm going to give for that one. Okay, so this is the one which I have represented, right? So this is the field data types, and similar way I have represented the data types in this table. So this is the another set of slide which I have represented, and here we are going to use to change the data types in your select query. So you could use the with to represent the data. Okay, so with condition you can use, and you can convert the data types. Okay, so now let's add this. Okay, so I'm going to add with. So in the with, I'm going to give each and every column the data type. Okay, so the data types, so first we'll copy all these columns. So let me execute this as well one more time. Okay, so that I'll come to know what are the data types which we are using. So this is the column, and the column data type is, it mentioned as a varchar, right? Customer. So customer ID is something this one, and we will come to know that. So this data type length, I'll take a snap of it so that I will adjust accordingly. Okay, one second. Okay, I'll make the another query. Instead of making it over here, I'll keep the original query like this as it is. So let me run it. I'll I'll just take a snap of it so that it will be easy for me to represent those data types. Okay, so now let's go on to here. So I'll just copy over here. So customer ID, so what is the customer ID here? 32, and your data type is this one, right? So if you run the above query, so you will get the data types. Okay, let me run this over here, and I'll represent the data types. So this is my column customer ID. So customer ID is the, so I'll give varchar of, I'll give, so basically I'm giving some, instead of giving exactly 32, I'm going to give some 35. In future, might be you may get some 100 or some other 100 length characters also. You need to adjust accordingly, give some healing to this. Okay, I'm going to give comma, and similar way you need to represent for other columns as well. So let's copy this one, and there are 5 columns. Okay, so I'm going to add the another column. So this is my another column, customer unique ID. I'll just update over here, and code prefix, I'll just add it, and the city, I'm going to add it over here, and customer state, I'll just add it here. Okay, and so if you take another column that is the same 32, so I'm going to give 35 this one varchar, and I'm going to give so the zip code prefix is begint. I'll give begint. So when you type begint, so this will give you the begint, and I'm as it is giving begint. And again I'm changing for the remaining columns. So that is the length is you have a 32 and 2. Okay, so this is a 35, and this I'm going to give only 2 length characters. Instead of that, one more length I'm extra adding. Okay, so we are good with this. Okay, so now let's get run this one. So 1 second, with, yeah, till here. So let's run this one. Okay, got it. So just remove this one, because now we know the length, right? So it should be star. Okay, and as well as there is a bracket is missing over here, that's why it is throwing an error. So just represent over here and run it. somewhere we missed it. Okay, where is the bracket? So here we missed. So customer ID and so customer location begin. Okay, I don't want this one for each. Just remove and remove because we just need to not here actually. So you see here in the with statement customer ID and we have represent the data types and with this all the values, right? So let's run this. Yeah, got it. So we got this result set, right? So now here you see it is properly aligned and it came with the all the proper representation of data, right? So now if you wanted to identify, sorry, so to identify the data set, data types again, what I will do is I'll just copy this this script alone. Now you can understand the data types. What is the data types it contains? Okay, so just copy this and paste it over here and add the code. So now let's try to understand the data types. So this query again I'm using to understand my data types. So again here I need to add the codes. Just add it and add it, edit. So here also this is done. Okay, so now let's get run over this. Okay, so this is done. So now you see here, so earlier we are seeing 8,000 and all those things, right? So now if you see here, the varchar is 35 begin and varchar is 3. So what all this I mean to say here is in Synapse, you can identify your file data types and length of your columns and adjust accordingly in your file. Okay, in your data types while creating any table in Synapse layer. So you could just represent these datas with the proper data types. Okay, don't give all the like max length of it. If you did not specify the data length right, so it by default take the 8,000 characteristics of length. So that is how it will it will consume your data process. Okay, and it will reduce your performance as well. So in going forward I will show with the large data set so that you can understand what I'm saying all these things. Okay, so this is the like SQL how like we are dealing with the file. It's basically so this is enough for us. So basically what are the files it will support? So basically uh, in the data level, right? So let me represent here. I'm going to represent another paint. So currently this open row set format, right? So open row set format supports only these three types. But other format, if you may get questions how I'm going to read JSON. Okay, so you may get a question for JSON as well. But I'll tell you in going forward how we are going to read the JSON as well. Okay, so open row set basically works flexibly with CSV file and Parquet file and Delta file. Okay, so these three standard formats it supports. Okay, suppose if I wanted to read any data from Parquet or CSV, you could flexibly read those files by using the open row set, and you can sorry you can read those specific formats of files. Okay, so let's represent here. So these are the current formats, CSV and Parquet. I'm just representing Parquet, Parquet, and as well as the delta. Okay, so these are the standard formats which usually Open Rosette supports with the combination of bulk. Okay, so bulk and with the storage account. So where your external storage is available. So based on that, it will read flexibly with these options. So we have another read options also, but you need to make some changes to data, not data, inside the coding, and then you have to manipulate to read the JSON and other format. I'll show in my other classes the JSON format reading and Parquet reading and Delta reading, everything I will show, no need to worry. So this is how basically initially I have shown the CSV file reading with the serverless pool. Okay, this is the sample notebook. Okay, and now we have the another option, that is a notebook. So this is basically more like a Spark reading and all those options which comes. Okay, so in this Spark, right? So quickly I'll just show. Let me load this into a data frame. Okay, so these concepts I will show tomorrow. No need to worry. I'm just for to understanding. I'm explaining here so that you will be flexible where we are using Spark and where we are using SQL. All those things. Okay. So now we have another one is Spark, right? Uh, so in the Spark layer, you need to create a pool. Example, in SQL, I just directly executed this query, right? Because I have a built-in serverless pool. But to run the notebook, you cannot directly run here. You need to create a server pool, Spark pool again. Okay. So currently I have not created any pool. That's why I'm not able to execute it. You see? When I run the select, it is throwing a message that please select a Spark pool to attach before running the cell. Okay. So now it is showing that one, right? So now let's quickly go on to the manage section. Okay. So here, if you click on SQL pool, you are able to see that there is a serverless pool. But when you click on the Apache Spark pool, you may not able to see anything here. Okay. You see here, there is nothing. Okay, so now how to create this Spark pool and how to run the queries. So before running any queries, in the first session I have mentioned your Spark will come up with the driver and Spark driver and worker node architecture method, and it contains the nodes, okay, to process the data more faster manner. Okay, so how we are going to create a pool? Click on new Apache Spark pool, and you see here these are the couple of options it is giving. Apache Spark pool name. So you can give any name, but while working in real time, it should be meaningful name based on your application. So currently I'm going to give Synapse course since it is a training purpose. So I'm going to give the Synapse course. Okay, and the node size and memory options, so we have only this memory option will be available, and node size. So this is very important. So since this is a training perspective, I don't want any high node size. So basic version is 4 and it give 4 cores and 32 GB. This is enough for my practice. Even someone asked this question, so this cost more, right? So how I'm going to deal with? So you can choose the small vCore model and you can work on your day-to-day lab practice. Instead of taking, see, these are all high performance cores. This is a somewhat medium. You can use this as well, but this is not required for us because this is just we are learning perspective, right? This is enough for us, our data day-to-day process. And um, and when you take for the large application data processing, you might require large and extra large process. Okay, these are all again high performance clusters and high performance cores. Okay, so example, your application have millions of data and you need to run the data in a quicker manner, so you could go with the extra large data cores. Okay, but you are having a limited data, at least in real time also we'll go with 16 cores, so because we don't want any much more larger, because if you are dealing some medium range of data volume, and you could use with the large 16 vcores. This is enough for our medium application data flows. Remember this point: if your application is processing medium range of data, and you can wait until it completes. Only thing, process will take time. That's it. So compared to 4 cores, example, my query, I ran one query. It took half an hour example. So when you use 8 cores, it will take hardly 15 minutes. It cut down your performance. If you use 16 cores, and it will reduce to some 8 minutes or like 5 minutes, and 32 crore it will go for beyond that, and it will reduce to some 2 minutes, and 64 is quick. When you run the query, it will take 1 minute. That's it. Okay, so that's how this node size and core size will work. Okay, so there is another option called auto scaling. So what this means, see, example, while you are working in real time, right? If you don't know what is a data, see, obviously your data will be on a day-to-day basis. It always increase. It won't decrease, right? Your real-time data always it increase. Yesterday you have 1,000 records, but today you have a 10,000 records. You cannot predict, right? You cannot predict, or you cannot stop the business sales. It always increases, or sometimes or some cases you might decrease, but it is not always decrease manner, right? So this will this will always increase business process. So either so in this manner, I am going to select auto scaling option. What this will enable is, so whenever today I have a 10,000, tomorrow I have 1 lakh, it will auto scale this data process. If you disable it, and again it will fail, you see, it by default giving 10 nodes. Okay, but if I enable here, you see, up to whatever I want, it will scale up to 10. Okay, if you want beyond that, you cannot. So, and also these are the pricing tiers. So if you select pricing tier 4, you see here 2242, and similar way, based on your node size increase, it will go, you see, 146 nodes. Okay, and when you disable it, you see, it fixed to 10 nodes, but 10 nodes are not enough for us in real time data process. But this is a standard node, but this is not enough for us to capable enough to perform our data loads. So always choose the proper data node. Okay, so I need only just this much. 13 is enough for my data to work. Okay, dynamic allocate executor I don't want, so this will allocate some dynamic data loader allocators, but to run your data, but that is not required for us. Again, this will consume more uh, DTUs as well. Okay, pricing. So that's why I just disabled it. So we have some additional sort of settings. In these settings, you see here auto pausing. This is one of the beauty of this Spark pool. Okay, so auto pausing, which enables, so it pause the database. Suppose example, you are using the Databrick notebook, and you forgot to stop your Databrick notebook. Okay, and you came on example, in Friday you have worked something, and you forgot to stop the cluster, and you came on Monday and you observed that more bill, like Friday and Saturday, Sunday, 3 days this cluster is up, and it consumed all your data, and it consumes the provided bill. It is some 10,000 or 20,000, like that. Okay, so since you have enabled it and you forgot to disable it, that cluster. Okay, So basically the auto pauses, so whenever you if you type here, right, so this will give you the intervals. So example, after 15 minutes if you did not use it, so it will go on to the terminate mode. It will terminate after 15 minutes. If you wanted to increase the timeout, you can increase. If you wanted to decrease your timeout, you can decrease. So example, I don't use example our practice purpose. So maximum number 5 minutes. So I would suggest keep the 5 minutes instead of 15 minutes. If you are not using for 5 minutes, your cluster will terminate and you will be in a safer side, and it will you will get more utilization. Okay, you don't get any that much cost. Okay, so so this is about the auto pausing. Auto pausing is it's a very good feature which introduced in this synapse. So the cluster will go offline. So when you did not used after 5 minutes of interval. Okay, so that's how this introduced these two concepts. And now we have a Spark. Okay, the latest version is 3.4. Okay, so currently running, earlier 3.3 is there. So there are various, you see, this is the 3.3. So you can see that so 3.3 is going to retire in March 2025. Okay, so currently, because these are the earlier version, right? So this version, when you are creating, so you need to migrate again. Suppose example, I have configured 3.3 in last year, but now business supporting 3.4. So you will get a notif in real time while we are working. You may get alert that you need to migrate this Spark to 3.3 version to 3.4. Okay, because Microsoft always they will send an alert when they are going to retire these particular versions. Obviously, they are going to retire. So what you need to do, you need to upgrade these versions. Okay, so since it is going to retire, so they will get an alert. You will Microsoft will send an alert to your project team. So please upgrade your applications which are running on 3.3 Spark versions. So you will do the configurations, updates, and you can run your applications. Okay, so current version is 3.4, and this is the Python version 3.10, and this is a Scala version, and Java version is this, and Delta Lake and R. So these are the five languages which our notebook Synapse will support. Okay, so all these four languages which supported by the Apache Spark, and you could use these particular languages too. If you know R language, or if you know Java, Scala, Python, you can use these languages to perform your application data processing. Okay, so that's how it works. And so Apache Spark configuration. So this is by default configuration, no need to change anything. So we have already done all these configurations over here. And so 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 if you want any session level packages install, I need to enable. So example, you wanted to install some nugget packages or something to support your app, you could enable, but this is not required for us to install any third party things. Okay, and it will by default disable. Okay, intelligent cache. So this cache is providing, it's like cache, you know, right? If you take your Google Chrome, they are providing some cache. Okay, so your whatever the browser history is there, it will store under cache, and when you type something in repeated, and it will show automatically whatever you are frequently searching. Okay, so that's how the cache will store your data temporarily in your storage level. Okay, so and so this is how the additional settings, we have done the settings. And let's go on to the tags. So if you wanted to add your name, okay, I'm the owner, so I'm going to create my name over here so that my name will appear in the Spark pool level. Okay, sorry. So this is how my tags will show, and click on review plus create. And you see here, so this is my Spark pool billing lever. Estimated cost per hour 305 to 1325 rupees. So this is my pricing details. Okay. If you observe here, cost per node 8-week course inner 109.95 and node price is 3 to 13. So total estimated cost is this one. Okay, so let me, I need to select 4. Okay, I don't want it to use 8. Okay, so I'll just use 4 vicos, and that is enough for my practice. So at the moment when I change here, you see this is automatically changed to 152.93, and that is the estimated pricing again. So this is low, right, compared to this one. So earlier you are seeing 1352 is the price. Now it is reduced to 662 rupees, the pricing values. And these are all the overview of your configurations. And this is my tags, and click on create. So once you click create, so at the moment it will start creating your cluster and your Spark pools, everything. And you see here, now there is a pool created over here. Okay. So let's click on here. You can observe the progress once you configured your um, the options, whatever the options you have given. So those options will be shown up here, the deployment options and the progress, everything it will show. And it is showing 1 to 2 minutes. Now it is completed. It took hardly 1 to 2 minutes. It is completed. So now, example, you may get a question that you have created a Spark pool, and going forward, if there are example, I wanted to change some configurations, how I can do the configuration changes. You can simply go on to here. We have a pretty much all options. You can do the scale settings, pass settings. If you wanted to make the pass settings, you can increase the pass. So currently I have given 5 minutes. Suppose example, I wanted to disable, and or otherwise I wanted to increase the intervals. I can simply go on to there, and you can increase or decrease your pausing settings, everything. Okay. And the packages. So what are the packages? If you wanted to import some packages, currently I told you, right? So you wanted to install some packages, you can install that. If you wanted to learn more about your packages, you can see, you can go. So they given some quick insight, what are the packages you can install. So whenever you required. Okay. So that's how it works. So currently we don't have any packages, but they have given this option to enable it to install any packages. And as well as Apache Spark configuration, if you wanted to do, you can just view this, but you don't need to reconfigure it again. Okay. So view roles, example, so currently these are my two, because I am the owner of this particular administrator. So going forward, I wanted to grant access to some other people to this SQL Synapse pool. I can give that particular person email ID. Example, in while working in real time, you could assign the roles. So you see, so they want, example, they want only the contributor access, you can select, or just a Synapse user, you can give the access, or computer operator. Contributor means he can edit and he can view everything he can do. So, but we don't give administrator for all the users. Remember this point. In real time, we don't give a system administrator for all the users. System administrator will be one or two who maintain this infrastructure. Okay, but contributor is the one who is going to work on development. Okay, so Synapse computer operator, it is just like they can view, but they cannot perform anything. So these two options. Okay, so there are some limitations. Okay, so these are the four roles which currently I have. I'm the administrator, I can do anything in this one. But if you give same access to unknown peoples, suppose example, one person joined newly into your team and he don't know anything about Synapse, and he came and deleted some pools, and you will be ended up with the struggles or loss of your data or your program. So that's how, okay, we don't give all these options anyway, since you guys already know how we are going to managing these roles. Okay, so we will just add our company email IDs who all need this access. So we'll configure one DL. So based on that DL, we will grant the access to all the users. But going forward, I will give. So manage roles, we have this option. You can just click on here. So here also you can select the scope. Okay. So which you can give each pool level, which component level you can give the access to each specific member in your project. Okay, so now we have done our all the Apache pools configuration, right? So this is done. So